George Evans. George is on Zoom from California, hopefully the northern part.
Yep.
Uh, And we have a quorum. So the first order of business is a vote on the draft minutes of October 17. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
Second,
any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
You gotta do a roll call.
unanimous, thank you. Anybody that wants to address the Harbor Committee? We don't have anybody beyond George on there, do we?
No, just George.
Okay. Okay, so we could have a master's report.
Sure, well, I just about completed the, at Seal Harbor, all the, GPS coordinates and the moorings. I've got them on a big master, it's 2x3 whiteboard. I used the, drone footage that we had. And then I took the boat out, went to, at high tide, in a calm day, and I took a reading on each one's total. I went way out to some of the outer ones, 81 total, if you go way out. There's, I think there's 6 more that I've got to fine tune. I'm not sure. I've been calling around, I'm not sure who owns a couple of them. And we've got to get that sorted out.
Right.
And there's some that I don't know that they're being regularly used anymore, that I think that we're gonna have to deal with, so I'll be talking to the owners. And we've got a couple we've got to move around. I talked to both boatyards, you know, Pendleton did go up and move one. So we've just got a lot of organizing we've got to do, and I intend to do it this spring, get it done. As soon as I get the good conditions, I'll go down and do the same at Grindle Point. I've got the big whiteboard mounted all ready to take down and do it,
Okay.
with all the spots on it. But I have to go around and get the coordinates on each one.
You want to wait till it warms up about freezing?
Well, if we get a really nice day, I might jump in the boat and do it. I mean, I've got the boat in the water. It's got a cabin, so I'll play it by ear. As soon as I can, I'll do it.
It's gonna rain on Saturday.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about tonight, but the condition, you know, of the Seal Harbor dock is something we're gonna have to deal with. I did talk to Josh Conover, I'd say about a week ago, about getting that incline changed out, getting everything moved out, and he assured me that that'll be done this spring. I just said we can't not do it. It has to be done. And he assured me they'd do it. Couple of little details. I asked him to get the ladder off of the swim float, because that's pretty vulnerable. If that hits bottom on one of these crazy tides, last year got knocked off, we had to find it and remount it. Let's see what else. You know, I've just been going down checking the hardware from time to time and these blows. So far it hasn't been bad. Keep our fingers crossed.
Good.
So that's about it for there. Dylan probably can address the ferry better than I can.
Fisherman fell into the water, getting into his skiff in November. He was in the water for some time, but luckily he was able to eventually climb out. Ethan Spalding and Pendleton Yacht Yard both satisfactorily completed repairs at the wharf at Grindle Point. I made a sign that says no floats this side on the west side of the boat ramp. There are currently no floats ashore at Grindle Point. I put a swamp dinghy ashore. I plan to find and contact the owner for removal. I took a few ghost traps and crates to the dump. I met with the Rockland Harbor Master, Molly,
Molly, yeah.
just to get a window into her job. And that was pretty informative. She emphasized risk management and reading the ordinances. I have a couple pictures. Here is the completed railing and whale back that Ethan did. I think he did a pretty good job. That is some decking that PYY replaced. Ethan was not able to do that part of it, so we had PYY do that. Ethan fixed that. This is the concrete block under the winch, and I noticed some cracking. So I just think we should have that on our radar and have somebody, maybe Bub Nelson or somebody who knows about concrete, look at that. And there's the one on the other side that's not under the winch. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I assume that it does. The winch and the ramp. And that's pretty much all for me.
One thing I forgot too is, I'm probably gonna go ahead and find that. And that fellow that with the dinghy that I put up there and charge him for the time of doing it because, you know, for the town, because, he hasn't been. He assured me right after the turn New Year that was gonna be gone. Well, it's not. So I'm gonna, send him a bill and probably a fine.
Good.
So,
Good.
and I'm gonna send a copy of the ordinance that reflects that, which is very clearly stated.
Yeah.
When talking to Fred some time ago, but if he gets deputized as the constable at the select board's meeting, there's a time when he ought to be able to serve people based on, like, if instead of you guys doing it, being the public safety officer, have it fall on him because he's experienced. You might do something that wouldn't help your case. So, because people have a right to appeal something to the harbor committee.
Yeah, maybe I'll go down and just take what I'm gonna do to Fred and get him to sign on to it. That's fine.
See, on the tickets that he has, there's one there that deals strictly with the harbor ordinance.
Right.
So he has the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a way that to make it smooth. And then if you have a problem, so you don't have to deal with it, have him deal with it.
Did you get Fred to formally impound the dinghy?
What's that?
Did you get Fred to formally impound the dinghy?
Yeah, well, I hauled it. I put it, I did take it out of the water and put it in the parking lot. I did it with three this summer.
Yeah, no, I think I saw it for the other day, actually.
Yeah.
But you do have some sort of like, guarantee in the ordinance there.
There is a penalty and, yeah, I just want them to deal with it. They can't-
So right now, when bills come in, I have a book ordinance. Sometimes Janet might say, would you look this over? What do you think? And all that. But generally speaking, that doesn't happen. So if somebody turns in the bill for work, I don't know who looks at it. Like I mentioned the idea, if you see on the budget report, only $1,000. And you don't know what this is all about.
Oh, I did have one question. I forgot to bring it up on the minutes. No, it's not on the minutes. It's on the budget when we get to that from. There was a charge related to Sabbath Day Harbor. And I don't know what that would have been.
Well, there were three
You mean
buildings.
Sabbath Day Builders?
Was that what it was?
That's who we had
Oh,
replace some of the
okay.
railing.
Okay, I saw Sabbath Day.
Yeah, and I think they're called Sabbath Day Builders.
That would explain it. Okay, because I just said, what in the world is this? Okay,
Okay, well, all right,
Yeah, I'd be interested in having a closer look at invoices and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
we could probably ask Janet to put copies in her the harbor master's folder out here that we could review.
yeah, I think that would be a good idea if a bill comes in that's related.
Yeah, make a copy, put it in our, because every time I come in, I check that.
Yeah,
I would ask Brian.
Huh?
Brian, ask Brian to
Okay.
do that.
Would you do that? Ask Brian.
No, I would recommend that you ask Brian to do that, but,
I'm asking.
because he's the one
Oh,
that,
he's the one that deals with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I'll pass them.
Okay.
You'll do that?
As
Okay.
your select board liaison, give me something to do.
Okay, great.
okay, a discussion of current fees for use of harbor facilities. As far as I know, we have just one. That's the
Well-
deeds.
And a winch fee,
Huh?
and a winch fee. We have the winch fee as well. We have
Oh.
the dinghy fee and the winch fee.
So how
That's
much,
it.
how much do we take in for lunch fees?
Not much.
Uh,
$10. It's like $10.
I don't know of another town that's of our size that has a number of things going on that doesn't charge for some of those things.
Hmm.
So it's, however, there's always another side. So I wrote up here on the wall, if we were to recommend that the townspeople, that they have a mooring fee. Although I think that's a good idea, before we thought it was a good idea, but a lot of people didn't want to do it. But when you look at the impact of just a mooring fee, this is the town, that's the value of 1 mil. So the town has what, 11.9 mils, I think, is for the whole town. But you have to spend $627,000 before you even hit 1 mil. So we're a very wealthy property town.
Right.
It doesn't mean that there's, people don't suffer here and there, and no question. However, before we were looking at, maybe we had 300 more, let's say we're down to no more than 150. It sounds reasonable?
Sure.
So,
Are you talking about in the mooring fields?
Yeah.
so if last year we talked, 2 years ago, we talked about a $25 fee. But let's suppose you go with $50 fee, you're only gonna generate $7,500. So if for a tax impact, you take the 7,500 and divide it by the value, and you get 0.000.
Yeah,
It's infinitesimal, no impact. If you're going to do something to have a tax impact, seems to me you have to look at a lot more than what we control, which is only in the 2 mooring fields. And I think the idea is a great idea to spread the burden around, but there's not much burden here to spread around. I don't know, anybody got a different feeling?
well, I mean, most towns. All their moorings are built, completely. Like in Belfast, it's their whole waterfront.
Right.
Rockport, Camden, Rockland, I believe it's the whole shebang. I mean,
Well, the 300 in Rockport Harbor alone.
yeah, I mean, if we, to do this on Islesboro, almost all of the moorings are handled by the three primary boatyards.
Hmm.
Now, that would be our avenue to be able to do it, would be working through the boatyards. And my argument to do it for them would be, it's to their advantage because they make money when they service moorings. They sell chain, make sure it's done every 2 years. If the boatyards were to do it and give the information to the town, it would put less burden on us. They are, you know, for-profit businesses.
Right.
When I owned the boatyard, we made good money on moorings.
Right.
And it just seems, the other thing they used to do way back when I was a Dark Harbor boatyard back in the 70s, early 70s, the boatyard would give a list to the town of all their boats every year and the registrations to make sure they were being registered. And the fees were being, because, you know, the excise goes to the town.
Right.
Now that's not the case anymore. But it seems to me that that would be a legitimate thing to push for. I mean, around the island, there's probably 1,000 moorings.
Right.
So that would be, you're starting to talk some serious revenue.
I haven't heard much of anything from people saying we ought to have a mooring fee. I've heard a few, we talked a bit about it here, but by and large, I don't think there's much sentiment unless you're gonna have a real impact.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, most people that can afford to have a boat out there can certainly afford to pay a $50 mooring fee.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're in a way, my feeling, and what I argued before years ago, when we tried to do it, was it was a way of being fair. If someone is really low income, they don't have a boat, they're not paying for something they're not using. It seems to me to be the most equitable thing we could do. And it would reduce by a very small percentage. But the money's got to come from somewhere to do these things. So rather than that, a percentage of their taxes having to be doing it, that money would be portioned by the people that are using it. So, I mean, it is a pretty easy argument.
Well, the fees in Lincolnville are going up. I got a letter, I got a mooring over there. Everything seems to be going up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more paperwork involved. They have a limited number of moorings, so they have problems just taking care of what they've got, because other people come in and take over somebody's mooring.
Yeah.
Got a lengthy letter from the town manager, who happens to be the harbor master. And then Camden has all kinds of extra fees for just about everything. Rockport the same. So anyway, it came up as an issue, so I thought I'd try to get some information. But I can tell you there's a lot of money being charged to people that live in towns near us. And people here should feel very happy that they don't pay those fees.
Would it be worth having the Board of Selectmen start discussing this?
I think so. I think mooring fees seem very reasonable, like a smart move. Just thinking that we have these projects coming out and $7,500 or $15,000, so if we were to double that. will not make a big difference on what an individual might pay in their taxes, right? But this might be easier for that individual to swallow a $25 mooring fee payment than have to hear that we are watching an additional 20,000 to fix this on top of 10,000 to fix that. And I think it reducing what we have to ask for budgetarily or budget wise, that alone makes it worth pursuing it further for me. I think since we charge a dinghy fee, it only makes sense that we may also charge a mooring fee. As we're discovering, it's the status quo.
Well, if you
You know,
were to figure $50 a mooring
Right,
with right around the island.
Yeah.
That's a substantial amount of money.
right,
Add the excise fees, which actually is quite a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
Those together, that's very worthwhile.
Right.
That would help a great deal with our, we'll have capital costs. We've got to fix that dock at Seal Harbor, for example. It's probably going to be in excess of $100,000.
and do you wanna go to the town to ask for that, or
And
do you
that's-
wanna have it sort of already taken care of?
That's, I mean, that we are gonna have to do that within the next year or two.
Yeah, I think $50 for everybody who has a mooring or mooring.
That's not an unfair amount.
No, it's completely reasonable amount and it's a very low amount.
And people get the use of we have nice facilities.
Yeah, and also when you're paying a fee, they don't own the bottom. They're basically renting that spot from all the taxpayers
Right,
and, if your boat is there, you can't navigate there.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that spot from all the taxpayers, yeah.
Yeah, cause I get the appeal of
I
going
I
to,
think a route we could perhaps go would be, let's say the Board of Selectmen brought it up.
Yeah.
See how it's reasonable for them. I guess the avenue is we make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen to enact. Then a group of people will be put together, some kind of a committee to start working on this, researching it. Hopefully it could be done without big expense. I mean, yeah, you can hire people that come in and do this, but you pay them a lot. We have some pretty knowledgeable people in town that could probably work at this.
it also tighten up our network.
Yeah, and if we could get to 3 boatyards online, 99% of the moorings are done by these boatyards.
Right.
And if we could get them on board, they would make more money from it because it would put a little more bite into maintaining the moorings properly.
There's some harbors where the mooring companies collect the fees on behalf of the town before they'll even set it or do the work.
I know, like
It's one of loopholes that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you start going down like
Yeah.
Newport, and places like that, it's just crazy, or Marblehead. But a lot of the smaller towns, especially down east, it's much more unregulated. Much
It's
more
very-
formal,
very
but
much-
we have to start doing something.
No, I'm just saying that getting the mooring companies to collect the fee on our behalf.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot.
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah, like they just included in the bill.
Yeah,
Include it in the bill.
Well, when you sign a contract with a vendor to do that service, there are several companies out there that, generally speaking, there's a couple that are used most generally in Maine. And the fee is a large fee. In some towns, the impact on the town office is substantial. Because they just, we've got 2 people out here. That one is CEO. You keep adding stuff to that work.
If, at least every 2 years, most of these people with any larger moorings, they're spending anywhere from $500 to $2,000 on their moorings. It's $50 isn't gonna make that much difference.
You could also charge more for non-residents. So there could be a resident rate of $50. And people who aren't residents of Islesboro pay a much higher.
I'll tell you the problem you might run into, just to play devil's advocate, your summer colony down here are gonna come back, and I guarantee you, they'll get pushed back, they'll say, we pay enormous taxes And it's an unfair,
It's like that in most towns, though.
it
There's a
is, I know it
resident
is,
rate
but
and
I'm just
a
telling you,
non-
we're an island with all this rim that pays enormous. We're a little different, and I'm just telling you, we have this, we went through this already. And man, it wasn't pretty, but I think we're in a different position
Yeah.
now.
They're never gonna like that.
And I think we could do it, but if we could be very cognizant of the fact of our summer population paying very large taxes, and their taxes went up. The shorefront, huge, the last few years, and we've got to. It's gonna be a lot easier pill to swallow for them if if they feel they're not being singled out. I mean, I can just tell you what we're gonna face from past
Mhm.
experience and conversation. People that you wouldn't expect would say anything, they can well afford it. It's the principle they're gonna go after, and they're not gonna.
Right.
But if you can say to them, well, I'm paying, no different than what I'm doing, it kind of diffuses it. So politically,
So you're gonna.
I'll bring up with the select board,
With the select board.
yeah, that when we look at the budgeting, the
So
harbor.
then at a, per foot kicker over 50 feet or something like that.
yeah.
Dual engine cost. Wheels.
Yeah, I think that's how
Uh,
Belfast does it. It's like by the size of the boat.
Right.
Yeah.
Next topic we have is legal opinion on question posed for the Habit Committee. Basically, we asked the authority of the Habit Master to make some decisions. And, some of the fishermen were upset, concerned. What I do think was that what you came up was a reasonable solution to what was happening in, down at the ferry. And the fact that all the fishermen have complied with that, I think that darn good says a good relationship going on that, people.
Yeah, I think-
not to fish it.
I think we've got a pretty good, I mean, you've been working at it a lot in the relationship, I don't think there's too much of this.
No, there's not, I mean, they're honestly behaving.
Yeah.
I mean, they're also out of the water, but. They're pretty responsive, and some of the younger guys, I have to text them a couple times, but they're, they move their stuff.
Yeah. All right, so this opinion, you all have a copy of it, I think. You can read it several different ways, but basically, you said that there is no clear authority under the statute for harbor master to address tie-ups in shorefront areas. But then she goes on to say that they're responsible. And it says, responsible to the full extent permitted by law, all harbor regulations affecting the waterfront. Well, the, if, I think we need to have a much clearer ordinance. So those little areas in there that are questionable, we look at it and say, we think what it says. I think the town's attorney needs to do that. For an example, we'll have a copy of the newest ordinance. Gary got the newest one, it's out. Which may and will be different than the first one you got, but I don't know exactly what is going to put back with it. So with it talks about pullouts, so that tie-outs or whatever of the like the floats coming in, and you've lived here for years. And all people have just said, well. We've been allowed to be in on. Joker's Harbor, leave our floats there. But it doesn't say anything about what areas are in the ordinance. It doesn't tell you where they are. It only says you'd be allowed to pull them out somewhere. So it seems to me, and then when you do that, you say, okay, but you can't be within 50 feet of the ramp. Which you didn't have that issue years ago, 60 years ago, so.
In my opinion, it should be clear, spelled a little clearer with a little more authority on the whole perimeter of the island, because things will be coming up as time goes on about winter storage on floats, and, you know, we use common sense, different places, and I've made calls to people and things are okay. But I could see in the future, we could have times when we might need just a little more authority to, you know, maybe from the high tide markers or something, or forcing somebody to clean up
Debris.
stuff, broken up float that they've left on the shore somewhere. Make it very clear that we have the authority to enforce them, that they have to clean it up. They can't just leave it. There's been a couple cases of that where we probably went over our authority
Right.
to make things happen. Unfortunately, people did, but you know, in these storms, we had some things. We had a place a couple of years ago, a fellow had a thing blow up on the shore, and he wasn't going to do much about it. And I went and talked to him, and finally did. But I'm not sure if I had the authority fully to do it or not. And I think that maybe we should look at some representative ordinances, what some of the surrounding towns have that way, because I'm not sure.
All right, well, okay, so you all have a copy of the opinion
Yeah, we have that.
and, getting back to the two areas, the two docks. Well, what is it about Steel Harbor that, somebody looked at it? Some company came over and surveyed it, or said they were one of the engineering firms.
When,
Well, it was here. It was an email that I thought was sent to you from Janet. Well, the Gatley,
Gartley? Maybe for the dock?
we're talking about the dog.
Okay. Janet, I think, was gonna talk to someone about the dock, looking at the dock.
Okay,
Did that happen? Cause I never saw anything.
Well,
I'm not aware of that.
well, we're talking about two dogs. We asked to have somebody look at, the ferry dock. Only because of the safety issue where the cars were going through.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we asked to have an engineer look at it. All I know is that somebody got a hold of an engineer, but I don't know who it was or who talked to who. But then there was another reference in terms of the,
The insurance, it was a town's insurance company.
okay,
That was what it was. That was a while, and we're not up to code on our rail height. They pointed out different safety things for the insurance. That was what it was.
okay,
And we addressed it, that we were working on a plan within the next few years to replace that dock. And they were satisfied for the time, but that was, yeah, I talked to them.
okay. All right,
That
I
was,
knew it was something.
yeah, no, that was the insurance inspection for the town.
So do we have any major issues between the two docks? this year, next year.
I just have that concrete block, I think somebody should look at, but I'm not bringing that up as a. I don't have an opinion on that, other than there are some cracks, I mean, someone should look at it who knows about concrete. So I can't say,
But the ramps are okay.
I think overall, the Grindle Point's in good shape, we just got new moorings
Yeah,
last year.
Right,
The railings, and decking have been repaired satisfactorily.
Craig, did you talk to, now the dinghy float, the hardware?
We do have a dinghy float repair.
And that was something that's gonna be, they've got to figure a better way of fastening the bracket, the way that is constructed. Some of the new float construction using the black floats, they're good in one way because, if you get a oil leak or anything else, that eats into the blue foam. Well, with this stuff, it doesn't. But the downside is they're built differently, the timbering, and it's a little harder to put really substantial corner brackets, the same as we did in the old days. So Christian was looking at beefing that end timber up and down the sides so they could get a little more meat on the connection. So in the storm, it wasn't gonna try to come apart.
okay, so Seal Harbor. It seems to me we're maxed out. For the moorings. Particularly when. If the wind's out of the northwest,
Yeah,
you can't be on the inside,
right.
you're gonna be on the outside. And there aren't just so many outsides left. Should we consider another float?
One possibility, and I haven't thought too much about this, but we're gonna put a longer ramp,
Right,
substantially longer ramp that we have. So right now, if you're walking down, that whole thing is kind of cocked like this. And that helps give a little more space behind to get out. But that whole thing, the floats and the dinghy dock are gonna be moved out a certain amount. I don't know if there's a way of, if we can get some more space on the inside, to see what, because it drops quite quick underneath there. As you move out, the way that tapers on that side, you gain depth very fast. Like 6 feet makes an enormous difference. Maybe there's some ways we could put some smaller things on the backside to increase. Limit it to like one area where you could have the smaller rowboats. Further over, have the larger, inflatables and boats with a limited horsepower. Might be a solution.
so right now. We're talking about, we got the. Folks coming here. So we got the ramp coming down.
Right.
He's gonna make that longer, and by pushing that up. This is 6 feet. Would it then be possible to put things like?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah, if we could do that, if we can get that out adequately, because there's plenty of space. In front of that, to move that out deeper water, it would do a couple things, right now. When you maneuver in there, for example. You got these ledges right here. So a lot of boats round out and they don't know it, right here. But if this goes up this way. Right now, see, the whole thing is cocked like this, like if here's your ramp. It's kind of cocked like that, and which kind of allows you enough depth to get out, but if that can substantially come up this way. You wouldn't be able to put as long a ones as this, but you could put some shorties in here. And put some smaller boats in here. And it would make a big difference. You could get a lot more boats there probably. And then put your bigger. Some of your bigger inflatables are legal to be there, but, or put them over here. And in fair weather, you still would use this, but,
You'd have to move some of those moorings in,
you know, there's nothing too close.
you know.
There's pretty good space all around here now. We do have to keep access to the ramp right here. Like when it was suggested, well, could we come out further? Well, maybe a little bit, but if you're bringing a barge in here to line up with that ramp, you can't go too much more this way. We could look at it. Maybe we could sneak one more in there. I don't know,
Well,
close.
it sounds reasonable.
But we certainly should look at it. And see if it'd be possible. We had 30, at the maximum this summer, we had 36 dinghies there. Which was exactly in line with last year. We had 36. And
Bumper to bumper.
yep, but there were a number of them that the people were gone for extended periods of time. And this summer, I'm gonna make it a point to talk to people that are gone for a month, pull the dinghy out while they're gone. You know, I mean, there's a few of us would go down bailing boats and because they move, you know, they shouldn't be there if no one's here. So we're gonna start doing a little more enforcement on that. I mean, I took 3 boats up into the parking lot and there's gonna be a lot more of that next summer. You know, I've got forks on the tractor and it's not a big deal to get in. Just get them out of there and people will get the idea pretty quick.
Well, all right, so I would think, is there anything else? Just wanna.
I'll pursue this a little bit more
Great,
about see if there's some ideas that we could.
super. So the next time we meet, we're gonna be probably talking about the budget.
Yeah.
So we have election of officers tonight. We presently don't have a vice chair, so.
Well, which ones do you want to start with first?
That was chair.
Okay, well, I'd nominate Ken Smith for chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Well, anybody else wanna? Okay,
You may want to do a roll call vote for this one.
with that,
You may want to do a roll call vote for this one. So this,
Oh,
Because you have somebody
there's
on.
somebody online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to do that if we have a quorum present?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We still do, okay.
who's,
So you need to do roll call voting when a member is on Zoom.
Okay,
So just do roll call, go around the room, each
Yeah.
person says yay or nay.
okay,
okay,
a
so,
roll call. So you go ahead and call
No, you call.
them, all right. You have to go through,
yeah, each person just says their name, states their name and
okay,
position.
Dylan,
Dylan Purington, yay.
Greg Janet, yay.
Earl McKenzie, yay.
Jordan's, yay. Did you get that?
And you
Yeah.
get to vote too.
pardon?
What's your vote?
Yeah, I'll vote for it.
Okay.
Okay. Now we need a vice chair,
It can't be either of us,
right?
so, and it probably shouldn't be you, so,
I nominate George.
huh?
I nominate George.
George who?
George Evans.
I'll second that.
I read the ordinance and the vice chair, the only thing the vice chair does is
Just formality at that point.
Most committees don't. but-
Okay,
Okay,
all right, so. Should we vote you win?
No, I'm not a member, so I can't be
Okay.
voted.
All right,
okay.
all right, All right, we're all set there. All right, George, anything for you?
Um. I think that they're asking me if I want to say anything generally at the meeting. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes,
All right, have the boatyards collect the fee on behalf of the town and remit that to the town. That would, if we do things that way, we certainly would get the majority of the moorings out there and get the money collected. There still would be kind of a little problem area getting people to pay who service their own moorings, like, you know, George Evans and that kind of stuff. But that's what I think. I think we should go in that direction. But I think that if we want to do that, we really got to get the selectmen hopping on this and be prepared to get ready to propose this at the town meeting coming up. Over.
Thank you.
I'll get on it as soon as we'll meet in 2 weeks and I'll get in touch with Janet this week and. We'll get it on the agenda.
Anything else?
Need a date for the budget meeting. Budget meeting date?
Well, we don't know yet.
Oh,
And don't have anything, so,
well, do you want to set a date for this committee to have their meeting?
well, in the pit historically, we'll get something in the early part of March.
So town meeting is,
We're gonna be June, July, right?
but maybe we should, informally, I guess we could start thinking about. I mean, I'd like to keep looking into what that dock, you know, what kind of money we're looking at.
Right.
See if we can get some better ideas. I did talk to, just as, for someone to give me an idea, I talked to Josh. It got to bid, obviously, but, you know, just to get wide parameters that, you know, probably be in the $100,000 mark. And he made some suggestions that instead of steel runners, use, like Paralam, pressure treated Paralam. That's what they're doing now. That way you put 3 big runners and instead of having to put things on steel and bore through steel and you have rust, you can fasten directly to them. And they last and they're strong. So, and less money. So that would be one thing. And then the next thing would be, do we use wood or do we use steel for our legs? So it's a little bit, you know, we're talking about that and see what seems to make the best sense. And raising it 2 feet. We talked about bringing things up 2 feet. We have a very good header from the shore that was done. So we've got a good place to start. That's all. Paul Grindle did that.
So they recommend 2 feet anyway,
Yeah.
but they suggest 4 feet.
We were already higher than the standard. Yeah, that was much higher than the average docks were.
Well, the bulkhead will dictate,
Yeah, we've got to go up from the bulkhead,
right?
slope up and then yeah.
Okay. All right. Make sure we got everything that we're thinking of what we want to do. So if when we have our next meeting,
Process in March.
so which one do you want?
Oh, I was just, so the 3 I would suggest 6, 13, or 20, and you've got time to make the decision. So maybe we all look at it. Yeah.
How about the 20?
I vote to 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's do the 20. then. All right. Have a motion to adjourn,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
all in favor?
I.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, George.
Thank you,
Travel
George.
safe.
See you, George. When are you back, George?
Saturday.
Oh, okay.